A scream cut through the tall grass as the sun beat down on the East African plains. Not a roar, not a battle cry, a shriek of panic. The kind that only comes when you know your prey. A young Homo habilis scrambled over uneven ground, lungs burning, heart pounding, slipping on loose rocks. Behind it, a giant saber-toothed cat stalked through the brush, silent and lethal. The creature had no claws to fight back, no speed to outrun. All it had was desperation and instinct. At the last second, it dove into a narrow crevice between two boulders, trembling. The cat sniffed, hissed, then turned away. Not today. But death was always watching. This was the world Homo habilis lived in. Not at the top, not in control, but somewhere in the middle. A fragile, clever scavenger. No one would have looked at them and said, "This is the future." And yet, somehow, they were. 2.5 million years ago, a creature stepped out of the forests and into the unknown. It walked upright but awkwardly. Its legs were short, its arms long. The posture was hunched, the gait unstable. But something had changed. This species, barely taller than a child, wasn't just reacting to the world. It was starting to reshape it. We call them Homo habilis, the handyman, the first in the long line of humans. Their heads were still small, their faces primitive. Heavy brows, long arms. They looked more like apes than people. But inside those skulls, something stirred. Their brains were larger than those of their ancestors, and more importantly, they were wired differently. They saw not just what was, but what could be. The setting was East Africa. Today, it's a land of golden grasslands and volcanic hills. Back then, it was much the same, dry, hot, full of predators. The Great Rift Valley split the earth, creating craters and lakes where life clustered. Fossils tell us this is where Homo habilis first emerged, at places like Oldoway Gorge and Kubifora. They didn't dominate this land. Far from it. Homo habilis had no claws, no fangs, no armor. Their small size made them easy prey. Saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, crocodiles, and even massive birds of prey hunted them. Every trip to the water, every venture into the open was a risk. Yet somehow they survived. The secret was not strength. It was subtlety, caution, and the beginning of something no other creature had truly mastered: foresight. It may have started with something simple, a broken bone on the ground, a piece of stone with a sharp edge. One day, perhaps a starving Homo habilis picked up a rock and struck the skeleton of a dead zebra. A crack, a splinter, a drip of bone marrow, rich, oily, life-saving. From that moment, everything began to change. They didn't just use rocks. They began shaping them. Not beautifully, not elegantly, but deliberately. One strike here, a flake there. Soon, they were carrying these rocks from place to place, using them to smash bones, cut plant stalks, and maybe even defend themselves. It wasn't invention. It was evolution playing its slow, patient game. Scientists call these early tools the Oldowan industry. Rough flakes chipped off of cores. Sharp enough to pierce skin, sturdy enough to last. In some places, there are piles of these tools, as if groups gathered to make them together. Were they teaching one another? Copying each other's moves? That's still debated. But there's no debate about what it meant. These tools were not random. They were chosen, shaped, and used. That makes Homo habilis the first known toolmakers in human history. Fossils confirm the story. Bones with cut marks. Stones with wear patterns. Campsites filled with debris. Homo habilis wasn't just picking at scraps. They were unlocking new food sources. Bones left behind by lions became treasure chests of marrow. Thick animal hides could be pierced and peeled. Even plants with tough stalks became easier to eat. And the brain, it grew. Not just in size, but in complexity. Over generations, those who were clever with tools lived longer. They passed on their skills. Their children grew up watching hands at work, breaking, cutting, shaping. The idea of cause and effect took root. The idea that the world could be altered by will alone. Some scientists believe this was the real birth of humanity. Not language, not fire, but the moment we began to shape the world around us. A humble act, a stone and a bone. But it opened a door no other species had dared to step through. Curiously, one odd habit has emerged from excavation sites. Homo habilis may have collected bright or unusual stones that served no clear purpose. Were they attracted to color? To texture? Could this have been an early sign of aesthetics? Of curiosity beyond survival? We may never know, but it shows us something important. These were not creatures of mere instinct. They paused. They chose. They remembered. Of course, they were still incredibly vulnerable. Imagine the daily rhythm. Dawn breaks. The group moves cautiously toward a distant watering hole. Shadows shift in the tall grass. A vulture circles. In the distance, a lion yawns beneath an acacia tree. And among all this, a small cluster of Homo habilis move together, their eyes always scanning. One carries a sharp-edged rock. Not a weapon, really, but something. The lines between prey and survivor blurred. They could not outrun death, but they could work around it. Wait for the predator to finish. Move in. Strip what was left. And most important of all, they remembered where it happened. Which trails were safe. Which caves were dry. Which rocks were sharp. Historians still debate whether Homo habilis hunted anything at all, or merely scavenged. Some argue they may have used teamwork to corner small animals. Others think their limited strength and speed made them pure opportunists. But regardless, the evidence is clear. They found a way to live in a world that was trying to kill them at every turn. And in that world, one night, a child watched their elders smash a bone. The crack echoed. Marrow spilled. The child's eyes widened. A thought sparked. And a legacy began.